Tyler, tell me why the Denver Nuggets are about to handle business against the Miami Heat here. If you believe that.
I mean, I do believe that, but I didn't think the Heat would get this far anyway, so I can't. I mean, like, it's tough to say, it's a certainty because who knows, who picked them to get past the first round? Who picked them to get past the play-in when they were down, late against?
They're down by 10.
Yeah, Toronto, or whoever, Chicago, right? Yeah.
Which it seems like Chicago looked up and was like, "Hey, look, the Heat made a run and we almost beat them in the play-in. Let's sign everybody back up."
Right. So I mean, Denver's been the best team in the West all season. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago how they were kind of being disrespected because people were talking about Golden State and the Lakers and Memphis and Phoenix and all these other teams, and then they just took care of business. I was really impressed with them in that game 3 against the Lakers when it looked like the game that the Lakers were taking. They were like, nah, not happening.
Yeah. How do we explain that phenomenon with the Nuggets? Because I feel like one of the disrespectful points, or one of the points that breeds disrespect for the Nuggets is just we haven't watched a lot of them just generally. And when it comes down to it, when you watch them play, it seems like, I don't even know exactly how to quantify or qualify it, but it just seems like there's points where they go, all right, let's lock in. Yeah. Not like they were fooling around before, but they're like, okay, now it's time to really make sure that this possession we score, and on the other end we take the ball back, and then we score again, and on the other possession, like it just dials in. I mean, that's the sign of a great team, is it not?
Right. I mean, you look at the roster, man, like they're pretty much, a 9 out of 10 when it comes to like roster construction. Like the only thing they really don't have is kind of rim protection. Like Jokic is not like a guy who's gonna just block 4 or 5 shots a game, but Jamal Murray can shoot, he can distribute. KCP is a great wing defender who has a title.
People don't talk a lot about KCP.
People don't talk about. He's the only guy on that team who, I mean, the bubble title is what it is, but it was a title, and he was an important part of that team. Michael Porter Jr. can shoot. Aaron Gordon, I'll give it that's what they need him to do. He can shoot. He can shoot.
That's true.
Aaron Gordon is a guy who was like probably miscast when he was in Orlando. Like it was kind of like he was the guy who was like the number 1 or 2 guy on the team, and you see him now as option 3, 4, 5, rebounding, playing in that dunker spot, bringing energy. That's what he should be doing, and they put him in the position to do that. And then you got Jokic, who's been disrespected ever since he got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial or whatever it was.
It was a Taco Bell.
Yeah, it was a Taco Bell, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, they got a good team. They got a good bench. They brought in guys. It was interesting to me, the thing that kind of like not sold me on them, but when they traded for Reggie Jackson and didn't even play him, I was like, oh, man, they must be.
Yeah, that's a
They
great
must know
point.
their set. They traded for a guy who was starting alongside Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for the Clippers and
Whenever they played.
Barely, yeah, exactly. And barely played him in Denver. It was like, okay, they got something going if they're going to bring in this guy just to get rid of somebody else. Bones Highland, obviously, there was some stuff going on there.
Yeah, it was entirely a vibes play, right?
Yeah,
like they
goes
were
back to what you said. Like it's that team aspect. They were like, we got our 8 or 9 guys, and we don't really need a whole lot of help, and we're going to make this work. And so far, they've done it. We'll see if they can get 4 more.
I'm just happy for Michael Malone. He could talk about somebody else other than the Lakers at this point.
right.
Michael Malone has just kept the Lakers in his mouth the entire time. But I am fascinated by this coaching matchup because after Spoelstra and that Heat team went to Boston, win Game 7, I tweeted it out. I said, look, man, Spoelstra's an all-timer now. 6 NBA Finals appearances as a head coach. My man was a video coordinator in 1995.
It's wild.
And then eventually became the dude that Pat Riley looked at and said, you're my guy to lead this franchise. And he has done an incredible job with that franchise. Now, for the second time with Jimmy Butler, this team is in the NBA Finals. What is it about Spoelstra that fits so well and so perfectly with this organization and what he's doing there?
It's that Spo culture.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, look, when you got somebody like Pat Riley who has your back regardless of the good times, the bad times, like that, Pat Riley still for a lot of these guys, maybe not so much the younger players because they're so much young, they don't know about the Showtime Lakers and what this kind of Pat Riley aura. But when you got a guy who's been around the league for that long, had that much success, and when he's like, this is my guy, and you guys gotta follow suit, it's tough to like buck that trend. Whether you're a star, whether you're the 10th guy on the bench, like that leadership is important, and knowing that if you go through a swoon where you lose a few games in a row or have a rough month or two, that they're not gonna cut bait and get rid of him and adjust course. So, I mean, obviously he's been I think it's a benefit that he's been a video coordinator. He's kind of done not the least important job, but one of the lower jobs in terms of like coaching staff and preparation that, you know, even those people who do that now can look at him and say, okay, he knows what he's talking about because he was in his chair. And it's worked, man. I mean, you can't, he's been around since 2008, right?
Third longest, or second longest tenured.
Only behind Popovich now?
Right? Yeah. I mean, he's been around for a while, had success with so many different iterations of that team too. Like it's all been the Heat, but you know, some LeBron, some Wade, some Butler, even some of those other teams were feisty in the playoffs. So man, the coaching matchup's going to be interesting because I think both these guys are really good. All
right, Tyler, before I throw any of the Mavs whatever at you, I'm going to stretch your mind with me.
Okay.
Because I think all three of us in this room feel very strongly about the Nuggets winning this handily.
Right.
Even if, you know, with all due respect to the Heat.
Absolutely.
But if the Heat are to win this final series, it will take what? What combination of things? What?
Jimmy Butler's going to have to be playoff Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jokic is going to impact the game in one way or another, whether it's scoring or distributing. Like he's going to make his mark, even if he's not getting points. I think part of it is like whether he's distributing and getting the people he's getting buckets are Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. or if it's like Bruce Brown and Christian Braun. Because if it's option A, then the Heat don't have a chance. If those other guys are cold, like you can live with Christian Braun, you know, getting 15 points if Michael Porter Jr. isn't scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be tough, man. I mean, because Jokic, and we've got a story coming tomorrow in the Athletic plug about the 2-man game between Jamal Murray and Jokic and how that kind of developed long ago when they were playing for international tournaments for Team World back like 8 years ago. There were glimpses of that even back then because obviously Jamal Murray's Canadian, Jokic is Serbian. And that just kind of developed. It's going to be tough, man. Jimmy Butler's got to be playoff Jimmy. Like I said, they look tired for stretches against the Celtics in Game 7.
Yes.
Howard's, 2 days off going to help them.
And then go into altitude.
The good thing, I guess, they play Thursday. Game 2 is Sunday. Game 3 is Wednesday. So they're going to have some time off in the middle. Maybe they can kind of get their legs a little bit under them. But it's tough I think the Nuggets are going to win, but like I said, man, you've been doubting the Heat since April and they're still here. So what makes this one different, They believe they can win. That's the most important thing.
And that's the whole mantra for Jimmy Butler. They don't care what is said outside of that locker room. They believe that they can win. I think that's what I just find so fascinating about him as a star in this league is that I feel like it's an indomitable will that he has, and he just wants to put it to everyone who's out there. I saw a picture. I didn't even realize this. Apparently, he ended Joe Mazzulla's college career.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
When he was at West Virginia.
Yeah.
And he was at Marquette, and then, of course, just did the same in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Wow, you just said that he ended Joe Mazzulla's career. That's crazy.
Man,
a week ago, we thought Joe Mazzulla's career was about to end.
And then we didn't, and then now we don't.
Exactly.
Butler told us, we had a story like in November. They were 2-5, and Butler was like, we're going to win the effing championship.
That sounds exactly like him.
That sounds like a Jimmy Butler thing to say.
Expletive and all.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were like, all right, man, like that's confidence.
Yeah, but we've seen your movies. We know exactly who you are. I don't know if your team is a championship
and they're
team.
4 wins away. So
right.
I mean, can't doubt them at this point, man.
Before we go, I'm gonna doubt him. I'm sorry.
You gonna doubt him?
I'm gonna doubt him.
Do it at your own peril.
I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy Butler to an extent, but hey, man, I'm gonna doubt him here. I'm sorry.
Right. Speaking of championships, before we go to break here, what are your thoughts on Bob Myers stepping down after 12 years, president and general manager of the Golden State Warriors? Kind of maybe an end of an era there. Let Draymond Green tell it. He is really close with Bob Myers. Your thoughts on him stepping down and what that could mean for Golden State moving forward here? Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be a different voice kind of making the decisions. He's been there for the entire run of this championship window that they've had. This is going to be a weird summer for them anyway because of the new CBA and the contract decisions that they have to make.
Do you have an understanding of this? Because I need someone to help break some of this down.
I do a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right.
You got to ask me pointed questions that I can try to answer. I can't give you the overview. But, it's going to hurt those teams that like to – basically, you're just not going to be able to write a check to the league and build your team however you want, which is what you can do now. What you're going to have to do is, okay, if you go over a certain part of the luxury tax, then you're not going to be able to add guys on the buyout market. You're not going to be able to trade certain picks. You're not going to be able do certain things from a roster construction perspective. So it's
combined salaries.
It's going to be difficult to kind of have 3 quote unquote superstars on a team. Because you can't just like write it off to the league. Oh, we got the money. We're going to let us do what we want. There's going to be some other penalties there. That's the general idea of it. But it is the end of an era. I don't think Golden State wants it to be the end of their era.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not putting out a team with Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and whoever else is around them thinking that they're not going to compete. They just won the title 11 months ago. You know, like they still think they got a chance. So it certainly is the end of an era. They don't want it to be the end of theirs. And they're going to find somebody, whether it be inside or outside, to keep it rolling.
Yeah, they got a lot of decisions to make.
Yep.
Draymond Green among the chief ones there for them this summer.